by Saturday. So I asked Bruce Arians, who did say Tom Brady will get the start, could that alter who plays and how much given this weather system? And he said he'll have his guys play through the rain. However, if field conditions deteriorate on Saturday, that could affect who is out on the field. Now, when I asked Tom Brady what it would take to get him off the field, if it's just a big mess here in Florida, how much does he weigh that situation against playing? He said he'll do whatever Bruce Arians wants. He said if Bruce wants him to go 5 snaps, 20 snaps, he'll do it. He said if Bruce wanted him to play the entire game, he would do it. That's Brady's mindset right now. He said he's looking forward to getting out there after about 3 weeks of practice and really wants to see that real game speed. Here's the other deal. That game could be moved. Arians didn't anticipate the day changing when they would take on the Bengals, but he said because of the weather system coming in, they could decide to move that game up a little bit. So it is a wait-and-see situation on Saturday. Tom Brady is supposed to be on the field, but Mother Nature could actually have the final say on that, Patrick.
Knowing Tom Brady, I wouldn't put it past him to be out there in a hurricane practicing football on his own as he's playing preseason ball in year 22. Let's, Judy, in terms of guys getting on the field, first they have to be on the team. No team in salary cap era has ever repeated as a champion. How did they bring everybody back? And what kind of advantage does it give them?
Yeah, no team in the salary cap era has ever brought all of its starters back from a team that won. The Bucs are going to be the first team to do that. As a matter of fact, the last team that won the Super Bowl that brought all their starters back was in 1977, the Oakland Raiders. This is an extraordinary attempt to repeat, and it was set up by years and years of financial discipline in the way they structured their contracts. That meant that this year, when 7 of the starters from the Super Bowl became free agents, they had the flexibility when they did their contracts to bring them all back, and they didn't really have to come back at a hometown discount. So they've brought the band back, and what that gives them, I mean, Tom Brady just said it himself, it gives you familiarity, it gives you comfort. I asked Bruce Arians about it, and he said, listen, last year Tom Brady didn't know where to go for groceries. Now he knows where to go for groceries. He knows how to get into the building. All of this is more familiar to him. The other thing, Clyde Christensen, the quarterback's coach, made the point that last year, as we now know, Tom was playing on a bad knee the whole time. He is as healthy, as Tom just said, as he has been in years. His knee was taped tightly all of last year. Clyde Christensen said, you know, that limited him to some degree. And I said, well, how is he impaired? Because certainly to the naked eye, like we have, we couldn't really see big impairment with Brady last year. And he said, it's like if you have a headache every day and you're going to work. You may say to yourself, it's just a headache and you can still work, but you just never feel right. He never felt right last year. Well, now he feels right. That's obviously very bad news for the opponents.
And Judy, he talked today about not wearing that knee sleeve at practice. He said it's been 14 years since he didn't have to wear a knee sleeve. He said 14 years of pictures with this thing on my knee, and now I don't have to do it anymore, although he's going to wear a brace during games. And Judy's article is up on NFL.com right now about the Buccaneers. And another great point I thought she made in that article is Christensen also talked about this team when it comes to complacency. You said that Clyde told you he feels like they're deficient in snaps, or they were deficient in snaps in terms of getting reps last year. I can tell you Tom spoke specifically about that today and referenced Chris Godwin. He wasn't out here early last year, and for much of that early portion of the year where you saw this offense trying to find some kind of rhythm, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were banged up really early on. So even though they were playing on Sundays, they weren't practicing very often early on in the year. So you're seeing a team that is healthy right now, that is ready from the get-go, and I think it's going to make a huge difference in how this team starts, Patrick.
And this is a team that dominated in the Super Bowl. They won the championship, and we find out all of these issues that they fought through. And again, as Sarah said, go check out Judy's article, NFL.com/Batista, for insight in how they brought everybody back and how that started long before they even got to the Super Bowl. In terms of the difficulty of what they would like to accomplish, this is what the defending champions have gone through in the season after winning the title. They missed the playoffs almost 30% of the time, and they returned to the Super Bowl 25% of the time. They repeated 14% of the time, so it's boom or bust for the team that hoisted the Lombardi the year after that. As for a team that would like to try to get into contention, it is the Chargers who would like to shift the balance of power in the AFC West. Let's get to Costa Mesa, where the Chargers are practicing. Our Taylor Bishotti's there. And Taylor, we got to start with Justin Herbert. How has he progressed thus far?
Justin's progressed fantastic so far in training camp. We're about an hour and a half into the Chargers' last full padded practice of training camp before their first preseason game on Saturday at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. It'll be the first game at SoFi Stadium with fans, as well as Brandon Staley's debut as the Chargers head coach. As for whether or not Justin Herbert will play Saturday, it's still a little ambiguous.